And one of the two standout careers, certainly in England, was Chelsea. So we'll start our conversation of the Premier League there, Olivier. What have you made of their progress this season? You know, they won the Club World Cup, of course, in the summer.
Yeah.
Did you expect them to be challenging for the title this season?
Well, I've seen them performing at the Club World Cup competition. I did play with LA Football Club. I've been really impressed by this team. But to be honest with you, when you have so many young players in the room, it's kind of a different period than when I was there back in the days. They are doing a great job, but I think they still need some time to compete for the title race. They are quite there, fourth at the table, but I think they are really happy to have Cole Palmer back. He's already on the score sheet, but I think they need time to fight for the title race, and consistency, and maybe a number 9 who will, help them to win something. I believe the players in the room are very talented, but maybe not proper 9 like back in the days. Didier Drogba was amazing. So don't get me wrong, they are very good, talented players, but I think we've seen the stats before, and they need to score more goals, I think.
We'll show you the graphic that you're talking about, Olivier. You're talking about experience, you're talking about number 9. I wonder if you're talking about yourself, actually.
Well, it's too late.
But this is the curiosity of Chelsea this season.
Yeah.
When they have whoever has started as the number 9, the central striker in the starting 11, they've contributed only 1 goal. Yes, Joao Pedro has scored more than that, but operating as a 10 quite often there. But they've scored more goals from midfield than any other team, and more from defence than any other team. It's just that curiosity, isn't it, about that starting central striker. But Chelsea needed that victory. It had been a period of inconsistency, as Olivier was saying. They got the job done against Everton, but really the headlines were made after the game by the comments of Enzo Maresca.
After a complicated week, since I joined the club, the last 48 hours has been the worst 48 hours since I joined the club, because many people didn't support us. So very happy for Malo in that moment, that the effort from Malo, from the rest, show that they are all there and they want to help this club.
Interesting. So today he was asked to clarify those comments in his press conference ahead of the Carabao Cup tie with Cardiff. He chose not to. He said he'd said all he wanted to say on Saturday night. So by doing so, Jamie, by refusing to clarify, there's still, I suppose, this uncertainty really about who he was talking about.
It's not uncertain. He's speaking about the owner and the sporting directors. And I think this is a classic case that we see at a lot of clubs now, where you have a head coach, not a manager, and sporting directors. And what you get is the coach comes in initially and agrees to the terms and conditions, but then he feels like, yes, but then he feels like he's done a really good job, and he has done a great job, getting Champions League football last season, winning a European competition and winning the Club World Cup. So then slowly he feels like he should get more power. He'll be really disappointed by Chelsea not going into the market and buying a centre-back in the summer when Colwill got the big injury. So in the last few weeks, the results have just turned on him a little bit. So he's calling something out, and he wants something in the public, which I don't agree with. We spoke about Mo Salah last week. This is not as extreme, but it's a similar sort of situation. I don't like people going public, whether it's a manager or a player. You sort it in-house. But the problem for Enzo Maresca is, if he continues like this, there's only going to be one winner, and it's not him.
Well, we should talk about the job that he's done so far at Chelsea, and we can put that in statistical terms when we see the amount of points he's amassed since taking over at Chelsea. And he's in 5th place. And interestingly, there's not a huge gap between the top two there, Liverpool and Arsenal, and Chelsea, only 13 points difference since Maresca actually came in, and as Jamie's saying, he's won the trophies as well, the UEFA Conference League, the Club World Cup. He's talked about the fact that if they beat Cardiff, they're into the third semi-final of his time. So if this is a falling out, Jamie, and if there is a split and this split widens, who stands to lose more from this situation? Is it Chelsea or is it Enzo Maresca?
I think it'll just be Maresca, because we are talking about Chelsea being one of the most coveted jobs, I would say, in European football. But the one thing you can't throw at Maresca is he's not capable at this level. We're talking about Manchester United tonight and Ruben Amorim. We're going to speak to him later in the next part. And there's still that question mark. Is he capable of coaching at the highest level against the best coaches in the Premier League? We don't know. I wouldn't say that about Maresca. When you look at his record, it's fantastic what he's done, because I think the actual squad of players Chelsea have, they're nowhere near competing with those top three teams. So for Maresca to have done what he's done so far, and that what makes him feel confident enough to try and take the owners on, or the sporting directors, because he feels, I've done enough. I'm not sure I could do much more than that, and I'm not sure he can with the squad that they've got. But going forward, where can Maresca go that's better than Chelsea? I'm not sure. Now, Chelsea as a club will feel we can go and get another manager. They could. Could they get someone better than Maresca? Maybe. But when you look at what's gone on at Spurs in the last couple of years, when you look at what's gone on at Manchester United in the couple of years, you can easily go and get a manager who is not at that level. Maresca can go up against any manager, as he's proved, that it's Pep Guardiola, Arne Slot, Barcelona, the Champions League. He's more than capable tactically and as a top coach.
Olivier, do you think it is possible for Enzo Maresca to achieve more with the squad he has, or do you think without those senior players, it's not possible to fight for the title?
As I said before, he needs a striker who is consistent. He needs to find the good player, the player who will score goals every single week. He's got so many talent in the room, but I think he need maybe more experience. The squad is very young. And he's doing well. You see the records, like since August 24. He's there and he's competing, he's fighting with top teams, as we said, with amazing squads. Maybe he needs, he feels he needs one or two more players, maybe one centre back and another proper number 9. But I like a lot talking number 9. I like a lot Delap. If we let him settle well and a bit of time, I think he can be the type of striker who can do the job. But I think Maresca is doing well so far. He's 4th at the table and they won the last game, so I'm not too much worried about the situation.
I don't think Maresca is manager of Chelsea next season.
Oh, okay. Regardless of what happens?
No. I think when you come out and speak like your ownership like that and you start going public, that's a big problem. I don't see him there next season.
Just wanted to ask you, the comments you made on Saturday evening obviously created a lot of headlines and a lot of interest. What did you mean exactly by those comments, and what did you want to achieve?
I already spoke about that, and I don't have nothing to add.
But obviously, what you said...
It's Cardiff tomorrow, please.
You don't want to address at all the fact what you said?
I already spoke about that, and I think I was quite clear. No more than that.
But with all due respect, I don't think you were clear, because you said something that is open to a lot of interpretations.
Mm-hmm.
People are thinking, did he mean that he's got a problem with the media? Does he have a problem with what people are saying on television? Or is it more serious? Does he have a problem with the sporting directors? Does he have a problem with one of the owners at Chelsea? Obviously, when you make those comments, you have to accept the fact that people are going to talk about them.
I respect your opinion and I respect people's opinion, but again, I don't have nothing to add, and my focus is just on tomorrow game, that we can achieved the third semi-final in 18 months since I joined the club.
I mean, props to the journalists for pressing the matter. You've got to say that as we now welcome in our Premier League insider, David Ornstein. David, this is bizarre from Enzo. Either the club have spoken to him about not speaking as openly as he did at the weekend, or he doesn't want to divulge what was behind those comments. What are you learning is going on at Stamford Bridge?
Well, you've seen there, Cara, he's had the opportunity to elaborate today. He didn't take it, but he did seem to double down on his initial comments, and that will just bring further intrigue. It has led to the suggestion that perhaps he is unhappy with the sporting leadership at Stamford Bridge, and nobody has come out at this point to deny it. Now, of course, there was a run of 4 winless games, and that, I think, has been put down to people I speak to around Chelsea as bringing a bit of an emotional reaction, perhaps. There will have been regular meetings taking place, in particular after Atalanta, of course, and perhaps something was said in those that he didn't like. That's up to him to tell us. Chelsea are a club that are run on a more process-led basis, club-led, in the way that Liverpool are, perhaps, as opposed to being manager, coach-led, like you see maybe at an Arsenal or a Newcastle, and Manchester City. And that means the sporting directors are in control of this. Chelsea have underlined that by backing them, promoting them, rewarding them with new contracts. And we've seen that Chelsea always review their managers. In the case of Mauricio Pochettino at the end of a season, there will be a review, we're told, of Maresca at the end of this season. That was always the plan after 2 years. And if he gets there, we'll have to see what this brings. It's not the first outburst he has had as Chelsea coach. There have been a number. People I speak to around the game suggest maybe he's been emboldened to speak more forthrightly as a result of the progress and success he's been a part of. Earlier this year, he hired George Mendes, the so-called super agent, to represent him. Maybe that's with an eye on the future. Chelsea won't want any of these distractions as they push for another sort of top 4 finish and more trophies. And they'll take a dim view, I would suspect, if this sort of thing continues. Now, many would say that more managerial change could bring further instability. Others will argue that the stability at Chelsea will be formed by the players, by the sporting hierarchy. And I think they're quite happy with where things are going in terms of the fact that I don't expect major business in the January transfer window. That will be more focused on the summer. There are no suggestions coming to me that his position is in doubt. They always seem to be backing him from the conversations I have, but this certainly brings a curiosity and perhaps some hidden messages that we don't know the full extent of at this point in time. All very cryptic.
It was good to see that he had Cole Palmer back and, of course, scored at the weekend as well. Let's move on then. Thomas Frank and his future at Tottenham Hotspur after they suffered another defeat this weekend. Do you think his role at the helm is in jeopardy?
The word coming out of Tottenham Hotspur tonight is that they fully support Thomas Frank and they are backing him. That the leadership at the club, of course, now it's in a full-on way, the Lewis family, after Daniel Levy was sacked in September. You could say this was a first sort of true test of their control of the club, and everything we're hearing at the moment is that they are squarely behind Thomas Frank and that they want to see improvement in the team and also, of course, results. Now, it's been a particularly difficult period for them, and there is concern in the fan base, clearly. There are regular meetings taking place, and we're told that within these meetings, of course, Thomas Frank and his position are discussed, but not in an abnormal way. And there's no suggestion coming to us that he is under any immediate threat. Let's see what happens, of course, with the upcoming matches, starting with that tough one against Liverpool. They'll also have the opportunity to improve the squad in the January transfer window. There will be money available if the right profile comes to them and if it will improve the team in their eyes. They like Antoine Semenyo, for example. If it's not going to be him, maybe some other players in that wide attacking position, which is something they looked at last summer with Savinho from Manchester City. It didn't come to fruition. Maybe it will in January. And they'll hope that Thomas Frank can bring the results that over time that he can improve and be an appointment that they stick with, because another change at Tottenham is probably not what the leadership are wanting at this point in time.
Yeah, change isn't always good. Let's turn to Liverpool now. And of course, Salah, he was in the squad, on the bench and then on the pitch, and then really delivered quite a pointed performance after the game over the weekend. What do you think the future holds for Mo, given that he could be away now for potentially a month in the Africa Cup of Nations?
We talked about cryptic messages with Chelsea and Maresca. You could compare that to Salah and Liverpool, because we don't have a full explanation on what has gone on there. But as I understand it, Liverpool fully intend to keep Mo Salah. They want him to remain not only in the January transfer window, but beyond, until at least the end of the season. He's under contract until the summer of 2027. And Liverpool feel that they showed their intentions very clearly by renewing him at great expense back in May. I think their view would be this has been brought about by Salah and his desire to be guaranteed regular football. And that's not something that any club, certainly not Liverpool, despite the legendary status of Salah, are going to be willing to deliver. And that seems to be at the heart of this, at the centre of discussions, which Arne Slot said began before Leeds. So this wasn't the great shock to Liverpool that some have made out. What was, I think, surprising was that he spoke out after Leeds, and that forced them to act. However, they still feel the ball is in his court to decide what he wants to do here. If he really does want to go, is he going to come forward with some proposals? Are his representatives? I'm sure they'll be in conversations. There will be no shortage of interest. We know Al Ittihad in the Saudi Premier Pro League like him. Al Hilal, I'm led to believe, are not so keen, but there would be admiration from all over the European game as well. But this is being dealt with by Liverpool, they feel, in a pragmatic way, taking him out of the firing line against Inter Milan, bringing him back at the weekend. Arne Slot and Richard Hughes in control of it from their perspective, Rami Abbas, Salah's agent, and Salah from their perspective. So we'll have to wait and see what happens now he's away at the Africa Cup of Nations. But from Liverpool's perspective, they are clear. They expect him to remain at Anfield beyond January and for the foreseeable future.
Interesting. Well, you do get a sense that January will be a big telling part of this story. David, thank you so much for your insight, as always, as we welcome you back now into our Premier League studios and bring back in the guys, Tim and Danny. Danny, you haven't had a chance to speak about this whole sort of saga with Salah and Liverpool in the last couple of weeks. I know that you believe that it was quite serendipitous what happened over the weekend, because had there not been the Gomez issue and injury, we don't know if he ever would have come off the bench. Where do you stand now?
I don't think he would have come off the bench, because if you look at the previous games since he'd been dropped to the bench, he came on against Sunderland at half-time, I think it was 0-0. Didn't come on against West Ham, didn't come on against Leeds United, and in both of them games they were winning at a certain point, more so obviously West Ham, because they ended up drawing with Leeds. I think Gomez having to go off injured, you know, they had a couple of players that they could have brought on like-for-like replacements from Gomez, but they were young players that were in the squad. Bradley was obviously suspended, so the ideal situation was you bring Szoboszlai back to right back and then you allow Salah to come onto the field. But it's one of those things where you look at it and you think, this isn't the end of it. This isn't like, okay, everything's fine now. I think if you looked at it from a different perspective, which is obviously the game going as it did, if Gomez doesn't get injured, like I say, I don't think he steps off the bench. I really don't. And I think that Mo Salah's been calculated, and I think from Slot's perspective, he has to let everybody know that he is the manager. It's as simple as that. Because I'm sure, Tim, you will have been in dressing rooms before where if one person gets away with it, other people will think that they can do the same thing as well. So he has to make sure everybody knows who the boss is. Do
you think we see Mo play for Liverpool again?
At the moment, no, I don't. And I may be completely wrong as usual, but I don't think he does. I think it's Slot or Salah.
Well, Tim, you've been Team Mo really throughout this. What did that change anything? What happened on Saturday?
I've been Team Mo only because I've been trying to see this as like very realistically, and I still look at it, and I agree with David. Salah started this problem, right? And he might hold the keys to the solution. What I truly believe is Mo Salah is in complete control of this. What do I mean by that? If Arne Slot says, yeah, but I don't fancy you, or we'll go through a run form, and I'm going to put you on the bench, he is not going to accept that. You can say he's arrogant, you can say he's dealing with it the wrong way, sure, I'm not arguing that. What I'm saying is he's so powerful, he's on so much money, that if he's put on the bench for an extended time and he wants guaranteed football, and you say, well, we can't guarantee football, he'll leave, or he'll kick up a fuss or cause a stink in order for this to be a problem. And like we're talking about this now, he's not even with the team. He's currently in Africa. We're talking about Mo Salah. He holds the cards. All of them.
You can't think that he would be completely in control, because he could get benched. Can continue to get benched until he gets a reaction.
Well, or he gets a move.
Results, yeah.
So therefore, go ahead.
No, go on, Tim.
So therefore, I just think he is so powerful at the football club. He can decide whether he's going to play, and if he doesn't play, then he leaves. There's not a situation that I think in the next 18 months that Mo Salah accepts a bit part and a squad role. I don't see that happening. And that is essentially what Liverpool and Arne Slot are asking him. You're not undroppable, therefore we're asking you to accept the fact that there are going to be times when you're a squad player. And I'm saying I don't believe that Mo Salah believes that.
And to your point as well, this team for so long has been built around Mo Salah. It's been built around him, which has enabled him. Listen, he's been one of the greatest ever Premier League players. Nobody's doubting that. But his defensive work, he's never had to do it. People had to go at Trent Alexander-Arnold all the time. I felt for him at times, 2v1 all the time. So then when Salah got the ball, he was in a position where he could go and do what he wants to do. Liverpool are finding themselves in a situation now that they haven't been in for a long time, where they need every single player to do their defensive work. So this isn't about Mo Salah not being good enough on the field, on the ball. We all know he's incredible. But I think Slot's looked at it and gone, we're in a predicament at the moment where we can't carry anybody. We can't have any luxury players. Every single player has to be able to do the defensive side. And I think that's what it comes down to. And that's where I think sometimes people get a little bit lost and go, well, hang on, Mo Salah is unbelievable. He's so good that he should be playing for Liverpool week in, week out. Nobody's questioning that. The question is the off-the-ball side of things.
But is it what they need for the team right now? And the other part of that question is whether Mo Salah is willing to accept that. Let's move on quickly. We're going to touch base on Enzo Maresca. What do you think is going on at Chelsea?
Well, you know, in his comments, he clarified his comments by saying, I don't feel supported. This is the worst 48 hours of my time at Chelsea. He essentially said, it's not the supporters, it's not my players, it's not my backroom staff. So that leaves the media. Why would you pick a fight with the media? I have no idea. Or it's someone above him, whether that's ownership or sporting director. And David quite rightly said, like ultimately, that club is led from the top down. It's the sporting director, ownership. They pick the players and they empower the players. So I think with managers coming and going, and also I think Maresca fired a counter shot by hiring Jorge Mendes and saying, okay, I've won a lot of things here. If you're going to chop and change me, I'll find a really good job too. So this is an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't think it's calculated. I just think he's so emotional. I think he's got to the point where it's like, why am I not getting credit? Everyone's talking about Aston Villa. Nobody's talking about Chelsea. You know, he's been there for a very short amount of time. He's won the Conference League. He's won the Club World Cup. They're fourth in the Premier League now. And what people don't mention as well, they had zero pre-season. They had zero time off. And there's players, you know, I know the fans are getting frustrated with the chopping and changing of the back four. He's having to do that to manage players that are carrying injuries. And I just think he's gone, I want a little bit of respect, I want a little bit of love. And because he's so emotional, sometimes it can come out the wrong way.
So you're not reading too much into it. And as he reminded us in that press conference earlier today, they're trying to get into the third semi-final in the last 18 months. He has been incredibly good, and a bit of a sigh of relief, I'm sure, from having Cole Palmer back from that groin injury.
Leandro Trossard proved to be the perfect antidote to Arsenal's attacking frustrations, following Mikel Arteta's candid remarks about Victor Gyökeres. Gyökeres may have struggled to truly impress since his summer arrival at Arsenal, but over the weekend, there was finally a glimpse of what he is capable of. More importantly, Trossard showed exactly why he could be the key to unlocking the Swedish striker's full potential during Arsenal's hard-fought 2-1 victory over Wolves at the Emirates Stadium. The 31-year-old winger injected fresh energy into Mikel Arteta's side on Saturday night and helped breathe new life into the Gunners' attack. Shortly after replacing Gabriel Martinelli in the second half, Arsenal found the breakthrough. While Trossard did not directly contribute to either the opening goal or the dramatic stoppage time winner, his influence on the game was undeniable. Trossard took control of proceedings, dictating the tempo and pulling the strings down the left flank. Time and again, he dismantled Wolves' compact defensive setup, releasing Miles Lewis-Skelly into space, picking out Declan Rice on the edge of the box, and crucially, feeding Gyökeres with intelligent, well-timed passes. Operating as a creative hub, the Belgian showcased his playmaking qualities, delivering sharp, purposeful distribution. His introduction completely shifted the momentum of the match, and for the first time in weeks, Arsenal's $64 million striker briefly looked like a genuine threat. Before Trossard's arrival, Gyökeres endured a frustrating and ineffective outing in attack. In fact, the Belgian was the only player to carve out a clear-cut opportunity for the 27-year-old forward, slipping a simple yet incisive ball in behind the Wolves' backline. Gyökeres controlled the pass, beat his defender, and aimed for the far post. Wolves goalkeeper Sam Johnstone was beaten, but the Swedish striker saw his effort agonizingly drift just wide. If Arteta truly wants to get the best out of Gyökeres, then granting Trossard a more prominent role in the starting 11th could be the solution. Speaking to TNT Sports after the win, the Arsenal manager openly addressed the challenges facing his marquee signing. "It's a collaboration between the two," Arteta explained. "He was in some really good positions, but the ball didn't arrive quickly enough, accurately enough, or with the precision a number 9 needs to score." But his commitment and intention were there, and we have to keep pushing. Arteta was equally vocal in defending Gyökeres prior to the match, urging patience with the striker's adaptation to English football. "There was huge expectation because we were signing a proven goal scorer, probably with the best statistics in Europe," Arteta said. "But he's coming into a different league, the most demanding league in the world. What happens if he doesn't score in 5 or 6 games? That was the only question I asked him. How are you going to react if you don't score in 5 or 6 matches? Can you handle that? And what about the next 100 games? That's what people need to see. The sample size is still very small, so leave him alone. Let him do what he does best. Support him, and I'm convinced things will come good." That message from Arteta resonated beyond the Emirates. In the days following the Wolves' victory, the debate around Gyökeres intensified among pundits, supporters, and former players. While some questioned whether Arsenal's record signing is truly suited to the Premier League's pace and physicality, others pointed to the structural issues around him rather than the striker himself. Much of the post-match analysis focused on Arsenal's chance creation and balance in the final third. The Wolves game highlighted a recurring theme this season. Gyökeres often makes the right movements, but the service into dangerous areas has been inconsistent. When Trossard entered the match, that problem briefly disappeared. Arsenal suddenly looked more fluid, more unpredictable, and far better equipped to supply a traditional number 9. Former players speaking on television and radio were quick to note the contrast. With Trossard drifting inside and linking play, Arsenal's attacking shape became more compact, allowing Gyökeres to stay higher up the pitch and occupy central defenders. That, in turn, created space for midfield runners like Rice and Ødegaard to arrive late in the box. It was a glimpse of an attacking formula that Arsenal have rarely sustained this season. The reaction from supporters has been equally divided. While frustration with Gyökeres' goal return remains, there is growing appreciation for his work rate, physical presence, and willingness to press from the front. Many fans now see Trossard as the missing connector, the player who can translate Gyökeres' movement into genuine scoring opportunities. Internally, Arteta faces an important decision. Persisting with a front line that isolates Gyökeres risks damaging the striker's confidence, especially with tougher fixtures on the horizon. At the same time, promoting Trossard to a regular starting role could mean reshuffling wide positions and reducing Martinelli's minutes, a bold call that would not come without consequences. Yet football at the highest level often comes down to chemistry rather than reputation. The Wolves match suggested that Arsenal's most expensive signing may not need drastic changes to his own game, but rather the right supporting cast around him. If Arteta embraces that idea, Gyökeres' slow start could soon be remembered as nothing more than a difficult adjustment period. For now, the pressure remains. Goals will ultimately define Gyökeres' Arsenal career, and patience in North London is never unlimited. But with Trossard offering clarity, creativity, and calm in possession, Arsenal may finally have found the key to unlocking their striker and turning promise into consistent production.